If you've ever Googled a bottle of perfume looking for reviews, you'd probably come across a website called Fragrantica.com, pretty high up in the results. If you're a fragrance enthusiast, then you might be maintaining an account there. If you're a fragrance content creator, there might be a chance that you've taken a screenshot of their perfume page and slapped it on a video as your visual aid. But did you know that the founders of Fragrantica decided to create their own perfume line? Hi, I'm Chris and welcome to the Fragrant Divide. In this video, we'll be exploring the four scents from the house of the Vagabond Prince. In 2007, Elena and Zoran Knezevich founded Fragrantica, probably the most popular fragrance database today. In 2012, they decided to launch their own fragrance line, and the Vagabond Prince was born. With the talents of their favorite perfumer Bertrand Duchaufour, they created their first release called Enchanted Forest. The brand currently has 4 fragrances in total. All are created by Bertrand Duchaufour, and each of them is paired with a particular artwork style. As far as I know, they're all designed by Elena Knezevich. First up is Enchanted Forest. This is the only full bottle that I currently have from the brand. Its design is based off of Holoma, a Russian artwork style that focuses on ornamental leaves, flowers, and berries in the design pattern. And it's designed by Elena. I recently featured this in my summer list video, so if you haven't seen that, please do check it out. It's a green, fruity, woody aromatic fragrance that centers around black currant leaf, flower, and fruit. It's sparkling, green, cold, and woody, very fitting depictions of an enchanted forest. And this is what the carded sample looks like. I think the leaf design, the name, and the actual smell of this scent just all comes together beautifully to form an enchanted forest. In 2014, 2 years after the first release, 2 more fragrances were added to the line, one of which is Land of Warriors. The artwork utilizes Mizhenskaya, a Russian folk art style that uses a lot of abstract geometric shapes. It features horses that is supposed to symbolize masculinity. Same with the color, which is supposed to symbolize sun. I know it looks like a chicken, but it's actually a horse. I'll show a photo of the full bottle that explicitly shows what the horse looks like. But in here, yeah, it kind of looks like a chicken. This opens with a dominant violet note with that almost gasoline-like smell and a bit of a saffrony kind of nutty leather in the background. At this phase, the black currant leaf really comes out and it gives it quite a fruity characteristic. It's got a little bit of a cold aromatic feeling to it, and at this particular phase, it's a little similar to Enchanted Forest, except with that violet leathery note. The mid is where this stumbles a bit for me personally. There is something in here that feels a bit off-putting to my nose. Something akin to cologne, airy vetiver, and mandarin orange. That kind of combination just doesn't work for me. Thankfully, even though you can smell that particular combination, like the violety, saffrony leather is still the dominant aroma that you smell. The more it dries down, the more it gives off a hint of an old school gentleman's ambery cologne. So I'd say the hints of castoreum and ambergris becomes more prominent in the late mid dry down. But thankfully, it doesn't have anything like overtly abrasive. It's just very aromatic and musky. This is really where the masculine aspect of this fragrance comes out, which was designed to be. And then eventually in the deep dry down, something drops off from the notes and some sort of sweetness becomes more apparent. Nothing sugary or anything like tonka-like. It's just slightly sweet, and the more it goes on, it just gives off this a semi-sweet aromatic musky scent. The feminine counterpart of Land of Warriors is Swan Princess. The art style is similar, it's also Mezenskaya, and was mostly inspired by a Swan Princess painting interpretation. Swan Princess opens with melancholy iris and violet with a fruity undertone. There's a very waxy vibe, almost like a crayon, and hints of soapiness to this one. The waxiness eventually tones down significantly, and it becomes more airy and vegetal. It pretty much stays this way well into the dry down. It does get slightly drier, with clean soapy musks becoming more apparent. The iris in here is still like very nicely vegetal without it being particularly earthy or like specifically carroty. Like even though it's vegetal, it doesn't go very much the carrot route. And then in the very deep dry down, it becomes like very apparently floral and slightly shampooy, which I'm never a fan of. But overall, it's a beautifully done scent. Some irises are done in a way where there's something kind of strong and scratchy about it, but in Swan Princess, like it stays pretty smooth and pretty cool all throughout. Even though this is designed to evoke femininity, I don't particularly find it like it's not overtly feminine. It definitely stays around the unisex realm. The latest release from the brand was from 2014 and it's called Base Solo. It's not a Star Wars reference as far as I know, and the artwork style is contemporary. It was it was really born out of Bertrand Duchaufour's fascination with Wenge, an African tropical tree that has a dense characteristic to it that makes it perfect for musical instruments. This opens with a saffrony leather and a slight semi-sweet varnish smell to it. It has quite a pronounced texture, like yeah, think of something like sawdust, and it's even like a bit suede-like. The leather in the varnish smell has a slightly sweaty, sour high note tinge to it, and it's probably coming from the lime and maybe a combination with the ginger. And for the most part, this saffrony woody leather stays pretty much linear, but it does get smoother and smoother as it goes on. And in the dry down, it basically continues to be woody, and still it carries that like very fine textured, albeit synthetic feeling to it. Think of like garlic powder or onion powder, that type of texture, not the smell, just the texture, but it's very fine and very even. I'd probably say that Bass Solo has a very similar style to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather and Nikolai Parfum's Baikal Leather. Not the same sense or not anywhere near close to the same, but it's very much the same style of leather where it's kind of like bright and slightly fruity and slightly suede like. But despite the similarity in style, this definitely is much woodier than either of those two fragrances that I've mentioned. Overall, I find all of these to be so well done. They're very elegant and very refined. They all have a pretty long list of notes, and my descriptions probably did not do them justice. The performance is very average though, but they do last a while on clothes. They are a bit pricey. It's $180 for 100 ml, and if money weren't an issue, I'd buy the entire collection in a heartbeat. I actually got these samples because during the first months of lockdown, Elena and Zoran decided to run a promo through Fragrantica about a big discount, and they sold the bottles at a flat $100. I can remember I think it's for either an entire week or a weekend. I can't particularly remember. And I also can't remember the announcement and what their reasons were, but I do know that it was it was basically just something nice that they wanted to do during those first months of lockdown. If I had to rank them, I would say that Bass Solo would be my number one. And I know I said that they're very similar to in style to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather and Baikal Leather by Nikolai. But I think I'm just basically a sucker for this style of leather and woods. My second one would be Enchanted Forest because as you can see, I already purchased a full bottle of it, and it's just a very nice green scent, and green is my favorite genre of perfume. I would say that the third one would be Land of Warriors. I just find it to be fascinating. It's a very nice masculine style scent, and it's actually more complex than I described it, and it I think it definitely warrants the third place. And the last place for me, I would say, is Swan Princess, just because I find it to be not unique enough. It translates as something very simple. It's very beautiful, but it feels that way, and it also has a very melancholy vibe to it. So that's why it's in my last spot. And I also think that there might be a lot better like iris fragrances than Swan Princess. So that's my overview of the Vagabond Prince. If you found this helpful, please consider liking or subscribing. And if you've tried any of these, let me know in the comments if you have favorites. Thank you for watching.